Hello, folks, and welcome to It Matters Radio and to Walking on the Weene Side. I'm Ken Weene, and today I am delighted to be going a little outside my usual spoken word to sung word category, doing a music interview today with Dr. John Epstein, who is the founder and bass player with a wonderful band called Haymarket Riot. John is a sociologist and a criminologist who has been on the faculty of a number of universities. And while he was working in, I think it was Greensboro, he got involved in a project called the Healing Blues, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And John, welcome to Walking on the Weene Side.
Well, thank you, Ken. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to the Weene side before.
Well, it's a kind of weird place.
Works for me, man.
Yeah. Now, you are both an academic and very much an activist and very much a caring human being. So
I hope so.
How did you get involved with homeless people?
Wow. Well, Ken, that's a good question, and it goes back a long, long way. I mean, my parents brought me up. I grew up in the late 60s and 1970s. My first awareness of the world around me was the late 60s, which was a hell of a thing. And my parents were very politically involved themselves and got me involved and taught me that in order to truly engage in the democratic process, you have to participate in it, and that means making yourself heard. That was outstanding advice. So the idea that, for me, that we can live in a country that people want to believe is the greatest country on earth. And there are arguments for and against that. But with the kind of wealth we have, when I look around me and I see people living in refrigerator boxes, man, that's just not okay. I have a responsibility as another person sharing this planet to help the people that, for whatever reason, can't get the things that they need to acquire those things. It's I don't know. So Haymarket Riot actually started with working with homeless issues way back in the 80s, man, when we were in our 20s. So it's just been an ongoing thing for Charlotte and I. Believe very much that rock and roll can change the world. It's a powerful thing, and we have something to say. And more importantly, with the homeless issue, the homeless have something to say that absolutely nobody is listening to.
Right.
And maybe they should.
The Healing Blues project is actually about giving a voice to homeless people in a very interesting way. Could you talk a little about what that specific project was?
The Healing Blues is a project that began at Greensboro College. It was an art professor by the name of Ted Effermoff and a music professor there named Dave Fox. Ted is a social activist artist, and Dave is an avant-garde jazz musician. So there's a combo for you.
Yeah.
But they got together and were trying to do a project for Arts Greensboro that said something about the blues, because there's a big blues festival in Greensboro every year. It's might be the biggest on the East Coast, actually, but it's fairly significant anyway. And then it occurred to Ted that, they should be doing blues, doing songs about the homeless, because if anybody's got the blues, it's got to be those people. And he went to Dave and said, "Hey, Dave, would you help me with this project?" And next thing you know, they had arranged with a local resource center for people experiencing homelessness to meet with a writing class workshop that they were holding there and meet with some of the homeless folks that were in the class and write their stories for them. The idea would be that the homeless person would tell the songwriter about their experiences, and the songwriter would then turn it into a song that would be recorded and put on the first Healing Blues album. I was approached by, gosh, I don't remember if it was Dave or Ted, but one of them came to me because they knew about the work I did outside of academia in music, specifically rock music, and they knew I had bands and whatnot, so they asked if I would help, and of course, when they asked me, I said, sure. Mm-hmm. And I went and interviewed two women for our songs, a woman named Yolanda Batts for What's Inside, and Chris Schumacher for I Die a Little. Now, Chris was an interesting one because she had written a diary as well. She was keeping a journal, which she gave to my wife. And my wife said, oh, my God, here's the song. So I quickly said, well, I'm not going to write this. I'll let you take her journal and use those words. So the lyrics for What's Inside came directly from Chris's journal.
Wow.
For What's Inside, the song that Charlotte and I wrote the lyrics for, Yolanda, as is the case with many homeless people, simply disappeared in the middle of the process. But we decided to go ahead and finish the song anyway because she had taken the time to tell us her story, and we felt she should be heard.
And folks, during this show, we're going to play both What's Inside and I Die a Little. So you're going to get to hear the music that John's talking about.
And they released the album. It sold quite well. They had a number of concerts, and the momentum started to grow for the Healing Blues. So they decided to go to do another album, which came out about 6 months ago, I believe, and I played on that as well. Actually, my whole band did. The difference, of course, and you'll like this, Ken, was that instead of having it be a rock blues album, it was actually a spoken word album where they took the words they got from the homeless folks and used them on top of the music that they wrote for the project. It was, like I said, the producer of the project is an avant-garde jazz musician. So, this was right up his alley. And as far as that kind of thing goes, it's a fantastic album.
Now, were you able to get students involved in this project? Were they part of the...
Oh, yeah.
So this was a real meaningful interaction between college students and homeless people. And I kind of wonder, which one do you think learned most?
Probably the students, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, and that might just be because of the years difference between the kids we teach, because, most of these kids are just right around 20. Mm-hmm. And some of the homeless folks we were working with were well into their 50s and 60s, and they have had a lot of extraordinarily unfortunate experiences, which led them to meeting the students. And I think that has a profound impact on people when they realize not only are the homeless just like them, but the fact that they're, actually able to manage it all is incredible.
Yeah, it must take so much strength in so many ways to be homeless.
And I can't even imagine, to be honest with you. I mean, the closest I've ever come was several years ago. Our home flooded. Uh-huh. And we have family in town, so I went and stayed with my dad for a few days, and I found out that, it doesn't matter how old you are, he's still your dad, so we had to go. And we were able the Greensboro College actually gave us a place to stay in one of the dorms, one of the old dorm mother suites or whatever, mm-hmm. Which was very gracious of them, but that was the closest I've come. So I know what it means to be displaced, mm-hmm. but I do not know what it means to not have anywhere to go.
Mm-hmm. And not have the hope of. I mean, you knew that down the road insurance was going to pay and you'd get your home, but
right,
these
exactly
folks,
right.
And
in the meantime, I had an address. I was getting a paycheck. I was dry. I was eating. Mm-hmm. These things matter.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, matter of fact, I mean, when we talk about all the things that matter, and I know that the organization you were doing that through in Greensboro was the IRC, I think you said. And
Right.
they provide things like showers and laundry service and a place to get your mail and things
Right.
like that. But, we don't even think about, but they're essential to being able to just live.
Oh, well, that's exactly right. I mean, many of us don't even stop to consider that in order to even fill out a job application, you have to have an address.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're living on the street somewhere, you do not have one. If you're living in your tent out in the woods somewhere, you don't have one. The basic things that we all take so much for granted, showers, a hot meal, a place that's safe, a place that you're secure.
So important.
It is, and many of the shelters that we have in the cities in this country are extremely dangerous places.
Yeah. Well, we're going to come back in a minute and talk some more about the homeless, but I think it's time to listen to one of the great songs from the Healing Blues Project, and I think we're going to listen to What's Inside.
From the city, looking to leave my troubles behind. Went to Virginia, crossing state lines. I can run, I can hide, but I can't get away from what's inside. Pushed on to Carolina, hoping to ease my pain. But at every crossroad, I traded hope for shame. I can run, I can hide, but I can't get away from what's inside. Thought I'd take my chances, shift my circumstances, but there's only so far south I can go. Circumstances, but there's only so far south. I can take my chances, shift my circumstances, but there's only so far south I can go.
Welcome back, folks. I hope you enjoyed What's Inside and the Healing Blues Project. And today we have with us John Epstein, one of the founders and members of Haymarket Riot, which is a wonderful blues band. And we were talking about writing blues music for these homeless people. And that brings up a wonderful topic to me, which is what does it mean to write the blues? Because I see a lot of people who say they're blues musicians living high, coming out of nice middle class family. When I lived on Long Island and I was practicing as a psychologist there, I had all these kids, and they had some strum and drang in their lives, but they would say, "Hey Ken, I want to write blues," and I'd look at them and say, "I don't really think that's what you're about." So maybe you could help us.
It's funny. That's actually, that's what Eric Clapton struggled with most of his life, man. Mm-hmm. I think somewhere inside he recognized that he could never actually be that. Mm-hmm. Because his upbringing was different. I mean, he grew up in not, rich circumstances, but they were, he had a roof over his head, and he went to school, and,
Yeah. He was never a sharecropper.
Nope. I don't know, but that's a question that floats around in the sociology of music in general all the time. Mm-hmm. What is and what is not an authentic expression of the blues or whatever genre? What's heavy metal? What's hip hop? Sometimes those lines get so blurred. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess the perfect example right now is new country music, which to my ears sounds pretty much like Southern rock. Mm-hmm. Those two genres have collided and created something new. So I don't know. It's blues is I don't know. Good question, man.
It's always seemed to me it has a lot to do though with pain.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's about, I have this pain inside me that nobody else can understand, and the only way I can get people to even come close is to express it with this song, with my guitar, or with my lyrics, or what have you, mm-hmm. Penny whistle,
mm-hmm. Yeah. But auto hop, too, because it's very much in the kind of the Appalachian music, too. It connects.
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, that tradition is very strong here in North Carolina. We have extraordinary bluegrass and country musicians here. It's amazing. Americana is very, very popular.
Yes.
I'm kind of the odd man out because, I do not play a Rickenbacker. I have a solid body electric. Yeah, but, and then that's the question. People tell me, well, is Haymarket Riot a blues band? Well, I don't know, man. We're a band. We played the blues. We played rock. We whatever. It's about the song. It's about the topic. It's about what best captures whatever it is we're trying to say. Which is why, if you listen to the two songs from the Healing Blues, they're very electric. There's distorted guitars in there. Listen to Tom and Jackie later on. It's basically an acoustic song with drums and bass, because that seemed to capture the mood of what Tom and Jackie were telling us in a way that an electric instrument wouldn't have.
People are going to go, after they hear this music today and listen to you, people are going to want to find more. So let's take a moment to tell them, how do they find Haymarket Riot?
Okay. Well, Haymarket Riot we have a fairly decent internet presence. We have a Facebook page. Just search for us. I think it's HM Riot, I believe, is the /HM Riot. We have a number of songs, including a number of cover songs we did last summer when I was breaking in some new folks. I figured that was the best way to do it, and if I'm going to be doing it, I might as well record it. Mm-hmm. So there you go. So we're giving those away for free on SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/Haymarket-Riot. And everything that is not attached to one of our philanthropic things is there for free. Tom and Jackie, the Healing Blues songs, those songs are connected to outreach programs, so we cannot give them away, or will not give them away, because it's just simply not right.
Right.
Come on, guys, you can afford 99 cents to buy Tom and Jackie a bottle of water or something. It's hot in North Carolina.
It sure is. And, okay, so SoundCloud, you on iTunes?
The Healing Blues albums are. They're also on CD Baby and Amazon. Just search Healing Blues, and both of them are available. They can download them, or they can actually get a physical CD sent to them if they're into the old-fashioned stuff, like I am. Well, you can't see them with that camera. But
I am too.
there's something about having the physical, tangible media in your hand, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my books are available on Kindle, and some of them are in Audible. But I'm a paper person. I like my books in hand, and I like my music on a CD that I can insert and store.
That's right. There's something about the physicality of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the truth. Reading
Now,
especially.
Isn't it funny, though? We're talking about wanting to own things, and we're talking about people who have almost nothing, which brings up a fascinating thing about the people who, the homeless people that you have been trying to help through working through the Healing Blues Project, and that is that they have so little, and often we see them carrying everything in a shopping cart or everything.
Right.
Yeah. And
Well,
what would you like to say about that part of their lives?
well, you know, I mean, there's in many ways the lives of those experiencing homelessness are so much different than yours and mine. So if you or I were pushing a shopping cart full of stuff down the side of the road, people would probably rightly assume we were having some sort of episode. But if you're living on the street, you're pushing that cart around because everything you own fits in that cart. And if you don't take it with you, it's going to get stolen. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, without question, it will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they carry everything they have with them. You see folks going down the street with all kinds of stuff under their arms. That's why. It's just that insecure in existence. Nowhere is safe. You can't trust anybody. And the people that might actually be able to help you out don't see you. They're invisible. So I don't know. It's which is why the Healing Blues was a project that appealed to me as much as it did, I guess, and why I'm trying to carry it forward in Winston-Salem, because if you hear what these people have to say, you realize that they're not as screwed up as you want to think they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have had a very, very hard time. Now, that being said, of course, there's always going to be some folks in any population like this that are there just because they're making and continue to make very poor decisions. That does happen, you know. And these, but you know, if you think about it, these are just the folks that made the really bad ones, you know. And maybe given the opportunity to make some good decisions, they do that too. Unfortunately, those opportunities don't come along very often.
And there's no resources to help them once those decisions are made that it might be good. Well, you know, now how do I do it?
Well, that's right. I mean, it's how, you know, we as a community view the homeless folks as well. What do you see when you see people experiencing homelessness? Do you see a public nuisance, or do you see a moral dilemma? You know, I mean, you know where I stand on that. Nobody in this country, there's no excuse for anyone in the United States to be living on the street. There's just not. You know, we have so much wealth.
I know when Gorbachev and Reagan met, I think it was in Reykjavik.
I remember that, yep.
And Reagan was going on about the freedoms of the United States, and Gorbachev basically said, yes, but in the Soviet Union, which was still existent at that time, people have the right to a job. People have the right to health care. People have a right to a home.
Right. Well, it was stop. It was President Roosevelt's, a Bill of Human Rights. You know, the second Bill of Rights that he proposed before he passed away. You know, that included things like the right to health, the right to education, the right to a certain level of income and a living. And who knows what would have happened with that had he, survived and lived throughout that term. But we just kind of dropped that one when he passed. And people bring it up every now and then. China Girl, this is my friend China Girl, who thinks she's digging a hole in my couch.
Hi, China Girl.
Get comfortable now.
Well, we love animals on It Matters Radio, so we're always happy to have them join us.
So she was a homeless rescue too. She's a Shih Tzu, but she has a slightly pink nose, and that means she can't get papers. So they discarded her.
Oh my! Well, she's lucky. She obviously got a good couch instead.
She did. She doesn't get to prance around at Westminster, but she does get to lay around on the furniture. So there you go.
I think I'd prefer a home if I were her.
I'm telling you. I sometimes joke that I really do hope that the whole Hindu thing is true, because I want to come back as a beloved house pet.
Yeah, there you go.
And hopefully my karma will lead me there.
Well, folks, we're going to take another little break here, and we're going to be listening to I Die a Little from the Healing Blues Project, and then we'll be back to talk some more with John Epstein.
Houses pass by me, all shapes and colors, partners, trailers belonging to others. Was there a time way back when? Tell me I had a chance then. Riding the bus, I framed my window. Buildings abandoned, ain't it so? One day after another, me and him, thinking about a life that might have been. They're just wishes in the rain. I did all the wrong things, don't you know? All this pain inside has nowhere to go. Today, tomorrow, yesterday ain't right. Close my eyes, I die a little every memories, wishes in the rain. If there's more, can I start again? Pain, darkness, I try to erase. People don't see me in any case. I'm just wishing in the rain. I did all the wrong things, don't you know? All this pain inside has nowhere to go. Today, tomorrow, yesterday ain't right. Close my eyes, I die a little every night. I try to erase. People don't see me, they don't see me in any case. I'm still wishing in the rain. I did all the wrong things, don't you know? All this pain inside has nowhere to go. Today, tomorrow, yesterday ain't right. Close my eyes, I don't know. Today, I did all the wrong things, don't you know? All this pain inside has nowhere to go. Today, tomorrow, yesterday ain't right. Close my eyes, I drive through every night.
Welcome back, folks. We're talking with John Epstein, who was the founder and bass player with Haymarket Riot. You really want to go look for them on all of the various places, SoundCloud, YouTube, and he is one of the early people involved in the Healing Blues Project, which is what we're talking about today. A fascinating approach to trying to make the world more aware of homelessness and the homeless. And one of the things that always struck me, John, is that people tend to think that homeless people are like one group and put them in a box. But you're a sociologist, so why don't you talk a little about all of the diversity we find among the homeless?
Well, you know, that is right. And it is true that we tend to put them in one box. It's a social class issue. We tend to do that with all of us. But with the homeless, it's a particularly erroneous thing to do because there is no typical homeless person. The reasons that people end up living without a home on the streets are every person has a different story. I mean, the problem, of course, is that the stereotypical things we hear about the drugs and the violence and the lack of education and all that stuff does play into the homelessness problem, because folks that don't have the necessary skills have a difficult time maintaining employment. And in the United States, if you're not employed, good luck finding someplace to stay. You know, many of us don't realize just how close most Americans are to actually being without a home themselves. And it never ceases to amaze me how surprised people are when the bank forecloses on them. You know, they think it's not going to happen to them until they're standing on the sidewalk in front of their house going, oh shit, where do we go? What do we do? And my answer to them is good luck. You know.
And many of the homeless are employed.
Many of them are employed. In fact, I have a good friend that works at the shelter here, one of the shelters here in Winston-Salem, who a big part of his job is just making sure everybody's up and out the door on time to get to work. They're trying to get the money back together in order to get a permanent housing. And Winston-Salem does quite well with that, actually. We've had a city-county initiative for about 10 years now to deal with the homelessness problem. We saw the statistics that we had here about food insecurity and homelessness, and we're blessed with a mayor that saw that as a personal affront to his being a mayor and decided he had to do something about it, and they really have. They've cut the number of chronically homeless by about 70% so far, from over 200 to just under 60 now. I think it's 58, 57. It's pretty hard to count the chronically homeless because they live in places like under bridges and dumpsters and stuff like that. Cars, that's a big one now, the mobile homeless. And many people don't recognize them as that because they're driving around in an RV. You know, what folks don't understand is that is their home.
Right.
That's it. There's no address. Wherever they're parked is home. And that sounds a lot more Wild Wild West sexy than it actually is.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have an address that you can get things from, or if you don't have the wherewithal to get electricity into your mobile home.
Well, that's exactly right. And if or if you think about it, if you're in an RV, I mean, how do you get a driver's license if you don't have an address?
So then you become an illegal driver, and then
yep. And you got no warranty on the RV you're driving because you didn't have a license and you don't have an address for them to send it to.
Or insurance, obviously.
Yeah, or insurance. But actually, Tom and Jackie actually were living in a sandwich truck for a while. One of those old, Schwam sandwich trucks or whatever the heck that was.
Food truck.
But, yeah, food truck, minus the food plus a couple of people. But for them, that was shelter. Yeah. That was good.
Better than a cardboard box.
That's exactly right. And they eventually set up some tents and were living out in the woods for a while, but they're constantly rousted. We do not. It's almost as if we as a community, as a society, just simply don't want to deal with these people. Our solution to the homeless is to get rid of the homeless. But it's like
by moving
discarding them. Just don't move them along,
not by helping them, not by...
Right. I mean, in Raleigh here in North Carolina, they passed a law where it made it illegal to feed the homeless. I mean, what the hell is that, man? We have
hate. That's what it is, hate.
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, and then apparently it's illegal to get food donated to you from fast food restaurants and stuff. So you see, folks at McDonald's or whatever just throwing away all kinds of stuff at the end of the night. And I'm thinking, man, put that in a box and take it down to the Salvation Army or something. Absolutely. Some people eat those Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. I'm telling you. Yeah. But it's. In fact, I heard a story about a guy who actually was arrested and went to jail overnight for going into a dumpster to get some Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's like, good Lord, man. If this guy is going into the dumpster to get dinner, you probably ought to let him have it, man.
If he's that desperate, we ought to be doing something to help. Now, some of the homeless, of course, are children. It's not just... And many of those children are trying to go to school. And it's pretty hard to go to school when your family's moving around and living out of a car.
Well, that's exactly right, too, because how do you decide, how do you determine what school your child goes to? By your address.
Yeah. And even if you get by that and you get into school, how does a kid stay in school and feel good about himself or herself when they're living, they have no clothes, they're hungry, they can't get a good night's sleep, let alone do homework. It's just a self-perpetuating problem.
It is.
And then another group of the homeless are veterans.
Yep. In fact, the veterans in this country are way overrepresented in the homeless population, which, and I'm not a veteran myself, but I do recognize what that means. And, the fact that we have people who have put themselves in harm's way specifically for us, living on the street, come on, man. For me, these are all moral, ethical issues, really. It's about justice. It's as simple as that. This guy has put his life on the line for us. We owe him a roof over his head. It's just that simple.
I think we owe everybody a roof over their heads. It may not be the best roof in town. It may not be a McMansion, but
no.
They should be able to have some place, and as long as they want to have some place. I mean, I'm willing to accept that there may be a few people who really don't want that.
There are. Yeah. I've met them. Yeah. They just simply don't, for whatever reason, they like the life they have chosen. But it is not up to me to determine whether that's a good choice or not. It's up to them. Right. It's also not up to me to decide that they're speaking for every homeless person out there, because they're not.
Exactly.
In fact, most homeless folks I know think those homeless people are nuts.
Most of
But,
the homeless people I've run into, not that I've met that many, but most of the ones I have, would love to have some place where they could call their own and where they could have the safety and security.
can you imagine what it would be like to not feel safe ever? Ever. I mean, wow, ever. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be in the bathroom, you're not safe. You could be sitting there, you're not safe. There's no place that you can go that is secure, ever. No, until you have been there, you can't possibly understand that. I don't really know what that means because I always had a place to go,
Yeah. And a way
you
out.
know, and a
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah.
But I've seen that look in people's eyes that tells me this is real, man. It's a frightened, shell shocked, almost post traumatic stress kind of thing in many ways. Well, the veterans it generally is actually that plays a big part in that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Post-traumatic stress disorder, we call it now. Back in World War One, we called it shell shock. Same
yep,
thing.
yep, same thing.
And of course, then it's exacerbated by the fact that many of the homeless are trying to alleviate that sense of fear and trembling and upsetment and depression by self-medicating.
That's right,
And then we throw them in jail. Of course,
right.
huge
We tell them
numbers
that
of the homeless have spent time in jail.
I've known
Well,
homeless people that purposely get arrested,
oh yeah.
in the beginning of winter in the fall
Mm-hmm.
because they want to be in prison wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least they have a roof over their head, it's warm, and they're getting something to eat. There's the first Healing Blues album. The song you're going to play next, "I Die a Little," or that you just played,
Yeah.
was a song of a woman called named Chris Schumacher. My wife Kim actually got those lyrics out of her journal. But there's another song on the Healing Blues album called "Bitter Root." It's essentially a spoken word, actually, that was her husband's story. He was a vet, is a vet. He's in prison now, unfortunately. But it's a fascinating thing. You're getting the same story, right, from two different people. And the perspectives are so. Tom and Jackie was a little bit different because we took their story together because they were a couple speaking to us as a couple. But for a lot of reasons, the husband wasn't allowed to have contact with his wife and kids during writing the song. He had an episode, I guess, and with him, it was absolutely post-traumatic stress. Absolutely.
We're not going to play that song, folks. You know why? Because we want you to get the album, The
There
Healing
you go.
Blues. And there are two albums. And we've been talking today with John Epstein, who's one of the founders of the and the bass player with Haymarket Riot. And he has been very much involved in the Healing Blues project. And now he's carrying that forward in Winston-Salem. And the song we're going to close out today with is Tom and Jackie, and it is, I think, really powerful and beautiful song. I hope you enjoy it, and after you listen to it, get on to looking for Haymarket Riot and getting their music, and be sure to check out all of the rest of the Healing Blues project. And John, thanks so much for walking
You're
on the
welcome.
Weene side.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And I hope you enjoyed Tom and Jackie. This is what we're doing with this song. Actually, is trying to. Since I'm no longer with Greensboro College, we thought, well, let's try to move this project forward. Do it ourselves. Get other bands in other cities to do similar projects. That doesn't have to be called the Healing Blues. You call it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the blues. It could be cha-chas for all I care, man. But get your community together. Get them involved. As a sociologist, I'll tell you, you want to heal what's wrong with this country? That's how you do it, man.
Music
You
heals.
sit people down and you have them talk. and you have them relate. You know, go talk to somebody that you're afraid of. You know,
Great
you won't be
advice.
afraid for long.
Thank
You know, and
you.
if you stay afraid, get the hell out of there.
Thanks very much for that great advice, John.
Can I tell you something? 'Cause girl, I think I love you. I'm always thinking about you, and I'm hoping that you notice. I wanna be your hero. I wanna be your hero. I wanna be your hero. Oh, let me be your hero. A sweet intoxication is 24/7. 'Cause you are someone different, and I'm totally addicted. I wanna be your hero.